Yes, thank you, Namrata. Thank you for accommodating me, and thank you for inviting me as well for this interesting session. It's always a pleasure to speak on these complications. So I was going to talk on OOPS in ICL surgery, and good to see Ashwin here as well. Hello, Ashwin. Good morning. So, OOPS in ICLs, and let's see what all can go wrong and how we can deal with them. So this is a very old video, 2005 or 6, and that's when we used to, you can see me holding the globe with a forceps, which is anathema today. And this is when it must be amongst the first few surgeries that I was doing with the ICL. And you can see that because I'm not putting counter pressure, I'm not using the ICL manipulator to stabilize the globe, I've ended up with this funny situation. And of course, if you attempt to do a wound assisted injection, unlike IOLs here, you will always end up in a soup. So see, I'm having to enlarge my incision. And now I've learned with my mistake, I'm now stabilizing the globe with a globe stabilizer, enough viscoelastic, and the cartridge tip to be inside the incision, or at least to the innermost lip. And then you do a controlled counter traction with your manipulator, and then only you can get the ICL in. So this is also how you would put your IOLs, but in ICLs, it's very important not to do a wound assisted injection. You will get a stuck ICL like this. So here, if you'll notice that here again, no point showing you how to load it because this was a time again 2006 or 7. Now I'm injecting the lens. I'm doing everything right, it seems. I'm using counter forces and my cartridge tip is right at the tip. But as I watch how the ICL is unfolding, sometimes you take your view away from the incision and from how well you're putting counter traction. And if you stop for a moment, you can see what's happened. The cartridge tip, when I started off, it was right there. And now it has slipped back because the counter pressure was not good enough. And as I observed how the ICL was unfolding, my cartridge tip is now outside the wound. Now this you should never allow to happen because now you'll have to deal with this ICL, which you can't push through, obviously. So how to deal with a stuck ICL? Today, I would just pull it out. You don't want to touch anywhere in the optical area. I'm trying to see how I can do it. Again, these are 15 years old videos just to teach you. And now I'm with this ICL, which is stuck. Let's see what I do. I'm going to play around with the forceps. At that time, it was still early days and nobody had told us that you can just pull it out with an ICL forceps very easily. I somehow managed to push it through and it twists, and this way you can damage an ICL really hard. I mean, you can damage the optic and everything, but this was what I understood at that time. These were the first 5 or 6 cases that I was doing. So anyway, I managed to do that, but today, how would I do it? First thing is that loading the ICL is very important so that you don't get a funny situation. Make sure that the 3 holes are aligned, pull it in straight, and watch it under the microscope that the 3 holes are all in one line. That way you're sure that at least the loading is good. It can still twist inside, and while you're injecting, you can still see whether those holes are right. So here, as I was injecting, the ICL got stuck. Now, this happens very rarely, but if it does happen, let me just mute this for a moment. If it still happens, you just have to hold it with the ICL forceps and come out, reload it, and then just go back and inject. So, even if part of your ICL is outside and much of it is inside, you can just hold the ICL by its ear and pull it out and re-inject. So that makes life very easy. Now, another complication that you can have is that while you're injecting, sometimes the ICL will start rotating. Even though we've loaded it right, you can see the 3 holes in one line. And again, this is a relatively old video, but as I was injecting, I realized, just watch what I'm doing. As I'm injecting, the ICL seems to be coming out in a peculiar way. So I'm going to rotate, just watch this, the injector, and see how I rotate it. As I'm injecting, I notice, so I immediately rotate it. Now this may or may not work always, because sometimes you'll just realize, just whether like with an IOL, a 3-piece IOL, you'll sometimes try to rotate it if it's coming out in the wrong orientation. Here I succeeded and it went off well. Sometimes it does not. And sometimes you have to then go back. So another situation that can happen, because these wounds are a little bigger and you can, sometimes have ICL manipulations through the wound. If it's stuck or something, you'll have a leaky wound. So unlike cataract wounds, you can check these wounds by just putting a drop of trypan blue. If it leaks, you don't want to suture it. It's a toric ICL. You don't want to induce astigmatism. So I'll just do a supraincisional tunnel. You can see how I'm doing it. I'm hardening the globe with infusion from my left hand, making a supraincisional pocket and hydrating it, just like a Wong incision, and see how fast it seals. You don't need to do any suturing or anything. This is rarely required, but when it is, it becomes very useful. Sometimes you'll have these peculiar ICLs which are decentered because they are wrong sized. You'll have a low vault. And then if you do an OCT and you find that there's peripheral touch, if there's a hole in the middle, like in the new designs, you may not do anything to it to watch it. But if it's an old ICL, older design, then you might want to exchange it. So I'll skip this video because we have better interesting ones. You might deal with a cataract in the past because there was no center of flow there. So this is a very old cataract. Now you rarely get cataracts, and if you do, then you can obviously manage them quite easily. They are not difficult to manage. Now this is the complication which ended up with me, one referred by a colleague. One eye was perfectly done. Second eye, somehow, I did the OCT and I was amazed to see this. It's an upside down ICL. It's an inverted IPCL or ICL. And obviously this will lead to a cataract. I told the patient to go back, get operated. He went back, the surgeon removed the IPCL. But this is what the cataract was left behind. So the patient came back to me, we operated it and were able to manage it. But this is a dreadful complication. On table, please ensure that this doesn't happen. And I'll try to show you how to find out if it is happening. This was... I injected this IPCL. Now, what you have to do is, before you start doing all these things, you should always check the box and the packing and see what is the correct orientation. Now, in an IPCL, these two holes in a smart toric IPCL kind of a thing, they have to be superior. So this IPCL flipped as I was injecting, and you can also see the holes on the ears of the haptics of the IPCL. So that tells you about the orientation. They have that small notch on it. So as I injected it, I realized that something was not right. I noticed these two holes. Now it was looking fine to me, so I thought that I'm going to put it in, but then when I saw those two holes inferiorly rather than superiorly, obviously the orientation is wrong. And believe me, even after 15-20 years of doing ICL, sometimes if it's an upside down ICL, you will not know it till you've done, like, at least two of the haptics have been put behind the iris, and then you realize that there is something different to the field. So please watch out for all the markings, and if you notice that, then you can obviously have to explant the ICL. Don't flip it inside. It comes out very easily like that through a 3mm incision. Reload it and then just inject it just the way you would, and make sure that the loading is good. And then watch out for so you can see that on the leading haptic and the trailing haptic, the one which has the small notch on it is on that side, and on the trailing it's on the opposite. So you can see the small notch there, and the two holes are now superiorly. So this is how you can be sure that they are in the right place. Now, this was one patient I was going to operate, and as I sat down to operate, the moment I switched on the light, the pupil constricted like this. They had probably been dilating the patient since the morning, and when the patient came for surgery in the afternoon, I had this patient. I could have abandoned the surgery. I decided to go through with it. So if you have an intraoperative meiosis while you started the IPCL or halfway through, or even when you're going to start it, you can actually manage it quite well. We put Phenocaine here, and you can see how well the pupil dilates fairly fast. I've done studies with Phenocaine, so this was one of the studies where we used it for IPCL, for ICL injection. And you can now, obviously, it's a simple way to do it. I'll come to the last case that I want to show you today. And this is a 25-year-old male who was operated by us for both eyes. First eye was totally uneventful, the right eye, and then the left eye was done a few days later. And it was under topical anesthesia, and this is how post-op day 1 the patient presented. He was operated in the previous evening. First eye had gone off totally clear. Second eye, he complained in the morning when he reported that he was from an adjoining city, so he could not come at night. He had been throwing up all through the night. We typically, with viscoelastic, if it is used during surgery, even though it's washed out thoroughly, we give Dimox. And patient probably had very raised IOPs late night and came up with this situation. And it was almost like an RBH, a retrobulbar hemorrhage. The vision was fairly good, like 6/9, but he had been vomiting through the night. And on OCT, the vault was good. And post-op day 1, we gave mannitol and Dimox and tried to bring the IOP down. The AC was burped. Post-op day 2, his vision fell. So we had to intervene. We went in and did a small wash and tried to see if there was any ICL tuck. And we just repositioned the ICL. Post-op, his eye pressure started getting a little better. We thought it was Urey-Zavalia syndrome. So please be careful. I've stopped using viscoelastic completely now for the last few years. And I do a hydroimplantation. And I won't show you the video because we are out of time, I think. Namrata, do you have 30 seconds to show hydroimplantation? Or I didn't hear the buzzer, so I don't know.
1 minute and 31 seconds.
Left? Okay, so then I have time. Let me show this then. Okay, this is how I do my ICLs now. Namrata, the timer is visible to all the other speakers and panelists except the speaker himself. So something has to be done in the system that the speaker can see the time as well. Anyway, so routine surgery, you can just make the side port incisions as you would. And frankly, I don't use these blades anymore. These side plates, I mean, they are angled, but they are very long. I've started using a newer blade from Money, which is my favorite blade. It's known as a 21 gauge side port blade, which is not so long, and it's very nice. It's angled also, and many other manufacturers are making it. But now here I'm using the infusion from the side port, and I'm going to do an injection. There is no viscoelastic used at any point here. Now, this you should attempt only after you've done a few hundred ICLs, because you cannot inject ICLs into a chamber without viscoelastic unless you are highly skilled, and still there is room for error. Even if you are highly skilled, you can still have a problem. If you have an aborted injection or something, you can have a very shallow AC, you can have a lens touch. So you have to be very, very careful and be prepared for all eventualities. But this has helped us a lot. You do hydroimplantation. These patients post-op do extremely well. There are no IOP spikes. There are no inflammation. These patients, the vault remains very steady. Whatever you have immediate post-op is what it remains. So in many ways, we found that the hydroimplantation works very well. But a word of caution, it is risky to inject ICLs and manipulate them inside the chamber when you don't have viscoelastic inside. So I would suggest that use this with extreme caution only if you are very confident about your surgical technique, but it gives you excellent results. Thank you so much.